Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today we're going to be going over my final team selection for game week 11. So if you're excited for the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment, what transfers are you making this week, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So starting things off, this is how my team is shaping up for game week 11. Now of course I'm recording this before all of the press conferences and stuff like that because obviously it's an early deadline today, and if I wait for all of that, the video will only be really useful for like an hour or so. So I'm going to upload this earlier, but my team right now is Gaeta in goal with Leicester away, Kilman is at home to Forest, Cancelo is away at Liverpool, Trippier is away at United, Zaha's away at Leicester, Salah's at home to City, Maddison's at home to Crystal Palace, Martinelli's away to Leeds, and then obviously Mitrovic at home to Bournemouth, Haaland away to Liverpool, and then Tony at home to Brighton. And then James is on my bench away at Villa, Dallo at home to Newcastle, and Andreas at home to Bournemouth. And Iverson's obviously just there as well at home to Crystal Palace. So that is my team this week. Of course, I do have 2 free transfers. I am waiting for press conference and stuff like that, but I'm going to go over like what's going to happen if certain players are like injured and stuff. So this is what it's looking like as of right now. So I've got 0.6 in the bank, and I mean, I'm praying that James is fine. I know he's not going to be for this game week, but I really need him to be okay for game week 12, but we'll see what happens with that. But this week, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be getting rid of Salah. I know he just scored a hat-trick in the Champions League, like the fastest Champions League hat-trick ever, but it was against Rangers. I mean, Rangers isn't necessarily a team that, you know, Liverpool are going to play every week. As well as that, Salah only seemed to push up front when Darwin Núñez came off the pitch, and so if he's like on the pitch, does that mean that Salah is still going to play as forward as he did? Because last time that Núñez was on the pitch when they played, who did they play last? Oh my god, my mind's caught in a blank. But either way, Salah played so back. It was Arsenal. He played so far back, and he just wasn't where he needed to be to like score goals and stuff like that. And so I think that if they're both on the pitch, you know, I'm not convinced that he's going to play in that attacking role that we're used to him seeing him in, especially because we've got like Firmino, we've got Jota, we've got, like say, Darwin Núñez. Like all of these players can play like forward, and so I think Salah is still going to drop back. We'll have to see what happens in the City game, but obviously if I'm getting rid of him this week, it won't really matter too much. But I understand why people are holding him. I'm just losing value in him, and he's just not performing at all, and I think I can bring in better players that not necessarily going to equal his points, but are just going to help my team out regardless. So I'm going to get rid of Salah this week. Now I'm still so undecided if I want to bring in Trossard or Bowen. It honestly depends who I want to bring in for game week 13 as that like 8 mil spot. If I'm going to be happy with Bowen, then I'll obviously bring him in now because it will save me a transfer down the line. But I think I'm more inclined to bring in somebody like Foden or Saka in game week 13, just simply because both their fixtures are really good. They play for better teams. I know that Bowen is on penalties, but so is Saka. And like I say, Arsenal are just playing really well this season, so I'm not really too sure. If I obviously bring in, I've got the money for either of them, so it's not the problem. It's just I don't want to bring in Trossard now and then bring in Bowen, and then I'll have to waste a transfer down the line, which could have been avoided. So yeah, I could bring in Bowen this week if I wanted to. If I did, I mean, I'd be happy with that. He obviously scored again in the Europa Conference League last night. It was a really good goal as well. So yeah, I'd be more than happy bringing him into the team. I quite like the midfield of Martinelli, Zaha, Maddison, and Bowen. It's just with big options like Saka and Foden not in the squad, it does hurt a bit. I mean, something that I could do is just play like 5 in midfield and bring in like Foden instead of like Andres Pereira, which I'm not like completely against, because like Tony and Mitrovic still have like good fixtures coming up, especially if Mitrovic is fine. So that is something I could do, but I can't play 3-5-3 every week because obviously you can't play that formation. So I would have to bench one of like either my attackers or my midfielders, and that's going to be like a tough call every week because, like I say, any of these fixtures, Tony could score, Mitrovic could score, any of these fixtures they could score. So it's going to be a tough one, really. But either way, I think I'm going to be bringing in Kane as well. It honestly depends if Mitrovic is injured. I've lost 0.2 on Mitrovic. I've lost 0.1 on Salah. So this wildcard has just lost me money. None of the players that I brought in have gained me anything. So yeah, it's not been the greatest wildcard, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll probably bring in Kane this week. If Mitrovic is fine, then I'll probably bring him in for Tony. I know that Tony obviously has Villa and Wolves and Forest coming up, but I think Mitrovic, you know, I could easily go to Tony as well from Mitrovic if I really wanted to. Like when Mitrovic plays City, I could easily upgrade back to Tony when he's got that Forest fixture, because then after Forest, Obviously, Tony has City, so it's a little bit of a questionable decision. Whereas Mitrovic after City still has United, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Leicester. So I think what I would probably just do in that situation is just bring in Jesus if I do have the funds. But let's say I get rid of Tony this week for Kane. That would be my 2 transfers. Obviously, I still have James there at the back that could be an issue. So this is why I need to wait for press conferences, because if he does just miss a Villa game, then I'll be fine because I can play him in game week 12. But this is what my team's going to look like for game week 11. So if I go to the actual FPL team app, this is what it would look like. So obviously, Gaeta in goal at home to no, that's game week 12. I need to be on game week 11. So yeah, we've got Gaeta away at Leicester. Obviously, this is the back line. This is the midfield. And then I've got Kane on front. So yeah, Trossard comes in for Salah with Brentford away. And then Kane comes in for Tony for Everton at home. And like I say, I'm benching James. If he's fine, then I'll play him instead of... I mean... Trippier away at United isn't a great fixture, but they only just narrowly won 1-0 last night. And I don't know. I feel like Kilman is not guaranteed a clean sheet. Honestly, if I was going to predict the score between Wolves and Forest, I think it's just going to end 0-0. I think it's going to be the most boring game ever. And I'm saying that as a Forest fan. I just don't think that it's just going to be an exciting game at all. So yeah, I'd probably play Kilman anyway. So that'd be my game week 11 team. And then going into game week 12, this is obviously the big one where we've got all the blanks and stuff like that. So I obviously have 2.3 mil in the bank, but if I was going to bring in Bowen instead, then I'd have him for Liverpool away. But Trossard at home to Forest is just such a nice fixture. But either way, for this game week, if obviously James was fine, then I'd play him. I'd bench Martinelli for Andreas Pereira, and then obviously have to play I'd have to play Dalot at home to Tottenham as well. So it's not like the greatest kind of lineup at all. But I probably would just roll this week. Worst case scenario, the defender's probably not going to get me many points as well. I've got Zaha playing Crystal Palace. I've got Zaha playing Wolves, and I've got Kane playing Dalot. So that doesn't help at all in the slightest in terms of like attackers playing defenders. So that's really unfortunate. Again, I'd have a free transfer this week and I'd have to use it on James if he's injured to field 11 players. And I honestly don't even know who I'd bring in for him, because obviously Trossard, like Brighton have Forest, but then after that they've got City, and I'm not a fan of playing Dunk against City. I mean, I don't think I'd have to, because if I did play Dunk for City this fixture, and my defense just don't have the greatest fixtures as well. My team's just kind of all over the place in the moment. Like, there's a lot of problems with it if I bring in like Trossard and stuff. And this is why I'm also just like not making these transfers. And I feel like I'd be in an okay position if I just didn't make the transfers. Like, if I didn't bring in Kane and Trossard, I wouldn't have all these problems to deal with like later on down the line. Like, obviously I wouldn't have in game week 12 I wouldn't have Kane against Dalot. I'd have Salah against Liverpool. I'd have Tony against... I don't even know who Tony plays, actually, in Game Week 13. Who does he play? He plays... hang on, He plays Chelsea at home, so it doesn't even help. Like, it's just... I don't know, man. Like, I need to make the right decisions here, but I feel like I'm on the verge of making a really, like, bad decision. Game week 12 is going to be a tough one, man, because my team just does not look good at all for it. I'm not looking forward to this game week at all, and it's literally midweek as well. Like I say, this is why I need James to be okay, because then I could use my free transfer on... I'd roll my free transfer, and then for game week 13, I could get rid of Trossard, and I could get rid of... like a Dalot or something for Saliba. So it is really tough situation to be in, to be fair. I'm not a fan of how my team's looking for game week 12. Game week 13 is not bad at all, because I've got like a decent kind of lineup in terms of like all my City players come back, all my Arsenal players come back, so I don't even have to worry. Like, I could even bench Trossard this week, play Martinelli instead of, like, if James is obviously out, and then I'd use a transfer on maybe like James to Saliba and then play him. And then, I wouldn't have to play Trossard this week. I could bench him, and then I could bring in somebody else for that week. But I don't know, because like Bowen has Bournemouth at home in that game week, so it's quite a nice fixture to Bowen. So I might just go Bowen, to be fair. It's just a little bit safer. Plus he's on penalties as well, and so that might just be a little bit of a better decision. It's just in game week 12, if I do bring in Bowen instead of Trossard at home to Forest, I've got Bowen away at Liverpool, and that just doesn't help in terms of like fixtures and stuff. Like, you never know. Like, it could be a 0-0 between United and Spurs, but then Kane doesn't get anything. So I don't know, all over the place at the moment, but obviously I'm going to wait for press conferences and well and stuff like that because, you know, I might have to get rid of Mitrovic today, and that will completely, like, change a lot of stuff. But either way, that's going to be my Game Week 11 final team selection and kind of where my transfers are at for Game Week 12 and stuff and 13. It's kind of all jumbled together, but I'm literally just so all over the place. Like, I was so, like, cemented with the decision of bringing in Trossard and Kane this week, but looking at to, like, Game Week 13 and Game Week 12 and stuff, it's not... Like, more so Game Week 12. Like, Game Week 12 is a bad one for me. Because I've literally just got a lot of players, like, playing each other and stuff. Like, I've got Crystal Palace playing Wolves. I've got Spurs playing United. So it's not really that good. I mean, I'd probably captain Trossard this week as well, to be fair, if I was going to bring him in. Because who else do I really captain? You know, like, there's not really any other decisions. Like, it could be Maddison at home to Leeds. But I don't know. Either way, it's going to be everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new. Until next time, peace.